Tonight, we are going to explore a quiet moment in history. It is not a loud story. There are no battles. There are no storms. Just a woman, a crown, and a grave. The world moved slowly around her, and in time, she moved no more. You may close your eyes if you wish. Breathe softly. Let the words drift. We are going to talk about a queen, a quiet queen, a forgotten queen, one whose final days were still, slow, and silent, until they were not. This is the story of the queen who was buried alive and did not wake up. In the centuries before modern medicine, death was not always clear. The body slowed. Breaths became shallow. The pulse could disappear. Doctors were few. Monks or midwives would often decide, and sometimes they were wrong. Europe was full of silence. The castles were cold. The churches echoed with whispers. People died by candlelight and were buried by torchlight. Queens were not spared. Their chambers were lined with velvet, but death was the same. In Eastern Europe, around the late 1600s or early 1700s, a noblewoman passed away, or so it was believed. Some say she was a queen. Others say she was the wife of a duke or prince. Her name changes depending on the source, but the story does not. She fell ill. Her skin grew pale. Her hands were cold. She no longer spoke. And so they prepared the funeral. It began with fainting. Her maids found her slumped in her chair. She was breathing, but slowly. Her skin had lost its color. Her lips were blue. Some thought it was a spell. Others said it was the chill of winter. She was brought to bed. They placed warm cloths on her chest. They rubbed her hands. They prayed, but she did not stir. The court physician arrived the next day. He checked her eyes, her breath, her pulse. He felt nothing. He looked at the servants and nodded. It was over, he said, but it was not. They dressed her in burial clothes, a fine white gown, embroidered gloves, a rosary in her hands. They placed a silver cross on her chest. The church bell rang. She was placed in a wooden coffin. The lid was closed. The nails were hammered in. The procession was silent. The tomb was opened, and the stone was rolled shut. The world moved on. Weeks passed. The castle grew quiet again. The servants spoke of her in hushed tones. Some said they heard knocking at night. Others said it was the wind. One evening, a gravekeeper noticed something strange. The stone over her tomb was cracked. He thought perhaps it had shifted in the frost. He left it alone. A few days later, the bishop arrived to visit the graves of nobles. The gravekeeper mentioned the stone. The bishop ordered it reopened. The workers returned with torches. The tomb was unsealed. The coffin was lifted. When they opened the lid, the room fell silent. Her burial gown was torn. The cross had fallen. Her fingers were bloody. The lid was scratched. Her mouth was open. She had woken up, but no one had heard. She had called out. She had clawed. She had struggled. But there had been no answer. They said she died again in the tomb, alone, in the dark, in silence. After her story spread, fear began to grow. The nobility whispered. The poor prayed. No one wanted to wake up in a box. In some cities, bells were added to graves. A string would be tied to the finger of the dead. If they moved, the bell would ring. These were called safety coffins. Some included air holes. Some had flags that would rise. Some had glass windows. People began to delay burial. They waited days, even weeks, just to be sure. Doctors debated signs of death. Writers told tales of the entombed. Painters imagined the horror. The queen or duchess or lady, whatever her title, became a symbol. She was not the first, and she would not be the last. But hers was the story people remembered. The tomb was eventually sealed again. A priest said prayers. A new coffin was built. This one was lined with metal. No inscription was carved. No flowers were laid. Her name was left out of records. Some say it was to avoid shame. Others believe it was to let her rest. Today, no one knows the exact place. Some think it lies beneath a ruined chapel. Others think the tomb was removed during a war. What remains is the story, passed down through whispers, told in slow voices, shared by candlelight. The queen who did not die until she did. We often think of death as final, but for centuries it was uncertain. Breath could pause, hearts could slow, the body could seem lifeless. But life is quiet. It can hide. It can wait. The Queen's story reminds us of silence, of stillness, of the fine line between sleep and death, of the moments we cannot measure. She became part of a longer history, of those who lingered between life and burial, of those who passed too soon. Her name may be forgotten, her face may be lost, but her silence was heard. Now the story is told, softly, quietly. It will stay with you as you drift. The past does not shout. It hums, it echoes, it rests in stone. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts fade. The Queen is sleeping now, and so are you. Good night.